Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Dominic Bickus with Paramount Lead Solutions, part of the Paramount podcast. This is episode 6 with our guest today, Regional Vice President of LMI Local Marketing Inc., Charles Alessi. What's going on, Charles?
What's going on, team? What's going on, Dom? Good to hear from you. I'm already laughing in my head because you're the reason I'm in automotive industry. You dragged my ass out of my career at the bank, and I think about it almost every day as you and I have accomplished a lot. We have. And I owe you a lot because you did drive myself into a new industry that I didn't even know existed and how we can make money here, how we can impact business, how we can impact clients. It's kind of impressive, man. And it's been what, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years? I
So
don't even
it's
know.
it's so interesting how looking forward, the decisions that you're making often don't seem to make sense, but when you look backwards, it's oh, everything happened for a reason. Oh,
Yeah.
the reason why you and I met, we tell the story all the time at the Bank of America early days. All
Yeah.
of that, fast forward to today, it makes sense.
The young gun who came into Merrill Lynch, just working that room. I will never forget that day.
Just trying to make a name for myself, man. Trying to stand out any way I could.
You did that in 30 minutes.
I know as we're recording here today, it's Thursday, May 1st. We just wrapped up April for many dealerships. It seems like from the feedback that I'm getting, it was a little bit up and down. Some dealerships absolutely kicked butt, broke records, did a tremendous job. Other dealerships weren't quite able to surpass what they had done in March. Of course, there's a lot of headwinds out there today, right? You turn on the TV, you open up your phone, it's tariffs, are we in a recession? There's global trade, there's China, there's this, there's that. So obviously there's a lot of skepticism and a lot of fear and uncertainty. As we look into the auto industry today, specifically digital retail within the auto industry, what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes, Charles, that dealerships are making today here in 2025?
Man, that's a loaded question. There's a lot going on in the industry. There's a lot going on in the world, right? That doesn't really shouldn't deter you from still winning and making money. I think one of the craziest things that I have experienced in the last several years is there's always going to be a problem. There is no perfect win. There is no perfect opportunity. If you're sitting there, sitting on your hands and you're just going with the wind, expecting, well, tariffs are here. I guess we're not going to make as much sales today. I feel like you're already giving up. You need to address what's and take it head on. Okay, we have a new challenge in the market. When do we not have a challenge? It's the automotive industry, right? It's a tough business. Okay. So I think some of the areas, and yes, a good question. Like, are they making mistakes? Maybe. Are there dealerships that spend better than others? Of course. Now, when it comes to digital marketing, I've been doing this for several years, seeing the inside of it, right? It came from an area of Paramount where I'm so focused on conversion that in order to get conversion, find these leads, like, what the hell are we spending our money on?
Yeah.
What are we doing to actually drive leads? When it comes down to it, majority of these guys are doing the exact same thing as their competitors are doing. So what's the key differentiator? Not much, right? Now, there's things out there in the market. There's all these new products and AI, new tools to help you defer yourself from what the industry is doing or what your neighbor, your competitor is doing across the street. But in reality, some of the mistakes I see is they're just doing the old game plan, the cookie cutter approach. One company doing the same thing as another company. You're just working with the digital advertising agency that has a different name. In reality, they're taking the exact same approach. So I think standing out is really being in tune with what your advertising is doing. And you should know every single dollar and how it's impacting your performance. You should be able to track it, see it, touch it, feel it. Now, fortunately, you go anywhere and everyone's like, oh, run paid search, run SEO. Great. What have you done differently than the guy across the street from you?
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. In a previous conversation, I had John Doolin on from Bettenhausen. I don't know if you had a chance to tune into that episode, but specifically, we talked about brand and we talked about what are some of the key factors that help differentiate your brand. How do you create a brand, and not just say, "Hey, we're different," but actually do it and offer a different customer experience. And one of the things he said is it's just about showing up and it's about testing yourself and actually doing it, seeing it all the way through. So don't just say we offer the easiest car buying experience as your tagline, and then a customer's calling in into your phones and nobody picks up the phone. Or you don't get an email response back for 4 hours, or say, hey, we're super transparent, and then customers are trying to pry open what the pricing is of your vehicles. So I think as
Yeah.
you're talking about, everyone's doing the same thing, and there is so much of that. How do you differentiate yourself? I think those are some ways in which you're able to differentiate yourself. Say what it is you're going to do, but that's empty. Then actually follow through and make sure that's being done.
Yeah. No, man, that is so spot on. What's going on within the four walls is the biggest impact. And regardless of what you're doing to drive leads, what does it always come down to? Your conversion efforts. That will never change. Are you properly going after your leads? Are you converting at the perfect rate or the normal rate? Are you actually making the phone calls to your leads? Are you doing what needs to be done internally that isn't going in tandem with the advertising money that you're spending on?
Or are you completing a bunch of tasks?
Favorite word I've ever heard from Dave was task monitor,
Right.
which still exists. I did 150 tasks today, Dom. My day is complete.
Right.
Meanwhile, didn't sell a car, didn't book an appointment. My leads are just sitting there drowning, saying, I want to buy a vehicle, what the competitor's calling them. Yeah. So when you talk about mistakes in digital marketing, it's the efforts behind it, not only for conversion, but yeah, you're making a key differentiator. And does the consumer and the audience in the market actually see that? And if they see it, are they experiencing it? I would say very few are properly doing that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can
No,
screen through.
I agree. I agree. So let's shift a little bit then. So the optimal marketing strategy for a dealership, and I'm sure we can go in many different directions here. Specifically, what I'm looking for is what is your thoughts on third-party sources for dealerships? And you hear a lot of mixed messaging. Some people live by them. Hey, I need to make sure that I've got at least the top three, right? I need to have Car Gurus, I need to have Auto Trader, I need to have True Car. If I'm not playing with those, then I'm missing out on my market. Others say, well, they might be reselling my data, or that's not a point of differentiation for me. I'm just going to look to route everything directly to my dealership website. What's your take? What's LMI's take on overall third-party lead sources and how useful they are for dealerships today?
Yeah. Third party lead sources, our opinion, maybe I'll just speak for myself, my opinion, maybe one truly works per store. You might have multiple stores in the same market. Cars.com might work at one, Auto Trader might work at another, but doesn't mean Auto Trader works at all of them. It's really dependent on what your conversion is doing within that lead source. And to this day, see, oh, I have all of them. I have four, I have five. I spend $30,000, $40,000 a month with them. In reality, what I have found is maybe one worse. And you kind of hit a pivotal note on your business, your advertising and your channels. You should be harnessing them so your website is your number one lead provider. When you start focusing on third party lead sources, you realize you're just giving up your opportunity to own first party data. You're paying now and providing an audience in your market to a third party company so you can have third party data. Why? Are you advertising for your business? Is it not effective? Are you just leaning on third parties because your channels itself aren't performing well? Well, that leads into a lot of wasted spend.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth behind them is they're advertising against your store. They have paid search, organic, email marketing, website retargeting. Hell, they'll go after your VLAs and take your consumers that are shopping via paid search or Google. Now they're on the cars.com Auto Trader website and not yours. So are you doing enough yourself, or are you just being heavily reliant on third parties to do the job for you? In turn, you're reducing the quality of lead for yourself, which you could have had. I don't know, maybe that consumer really does want a Honda Civic. They're 10 miles from you. Instead of now just shopping on your website where they submit a lead and you own that lead in its entirety, you just paid another company to go take it over. They have access to 500 stores. Now you just put yourself in a pricing bidding war on
Mm-hmm.
third party sites. And then you're lucky if you get it back. Once you got that lead back, you have four other stores in the market calling the same person.
Yeah.
So the method to the madness is, am I doing enough? Am I paying attention to what my advertising as a business is truly doing? And if I have to be reliant on other companies to get the job done for me, why?
Yeah.
Follow me?
Yeah, those are good questions. So then what is it in your opinion? What are some of the key tactics, strategies that separate a high performing dealership website from a digital ghost town? What are specific tactics that a general manager or marketing director can look at? What are metrics that they can view to get a better sense of my website is great versus I have an underperforming website. I might need some professional help with this.
Yeah, to back it all the way up. What do we care about, Dom? Leads, appointments, showroom traffic, and sales, right? Or it's revenue for fixed stops for completed ROs. Well, how do you get to that revenue stream? How do you get to sales? How do you get to completed ROs? You need the showroom traffic. Where does the showroom traffic come from? The appointments, right? Where do the appointments come from? The leads. Okay, take it a step farther. Where are your leads coming from? Do you even have the correct messaging behind your advertising dollars? Are you focused on your brand? Are you focused on make model specific advertising that's drawing relevant consumer search? Most of the time, to be honest with you, you're just branding your name or competing for the exact same keywords that the store across the street is. So again, method to the madness is that advertising has to be in line with your goals. What are your goals for the month? Is it a focus on new? Is it a focus on used? Is it a focus on fixed ops? Okay, understood. Now, advertising, is your advertising focusing on new car sales?
Mhm.
No, it's not. Well, how are we going to get the leads then for the right appointment, showing traffic and sales? And I just call the methods the madness. And unfortunately, I think a lot of dealers aren't able to truly see what their advertising looks like to a consumer, even though they're spending 10, 15, 20, $35,000 a month. Is the advertising really in line with your goals? And if it's not, well, it's going to be pretty difficult to get to that end goal.
I think some of the strategies from, you hear marketers, right? A bunch of old adages that people utilize. One of which, and I think it still rings true today, 50% of marketing works, 50% of marketing doesn't. You just don't know which one is which. People still say that these days.
Yeah.
And I feel like with where we are with technology, with digital, with pixel tracking, with web scrapers, with AI, we shouldn't put up with that excuse anymore that we don't know which 50% of marketing works and which 50% of marketing doesn't. I mean, I know we at Paramount, we've tackled the attribution question head on, and that's been a big differentiator for us. It's, hey, we might be great, we might be average, we might suck. But you will always know, without a doubt, when I say a customer showed up and that car was sold, you will know 100% that that is attributed to us. But I think the topic in question of marketing attribution is still, for lack of a better word, throwing shit on a wall and hoping that it sticks.
Yeah. I love that you brought in matching and attribution. That's where it should be at. You should know exactly what dollar is being spent and what it is yielding. There should be no.
What are some of the flaws, Charles, that you see? Why do dealerships struggle with marketing attribution still today?
I don't think they're actually heavily involved in the meetings or paying attention to what the advertising dollars are truly doing. You can hear from an ad agency, or you can hear from the digital marketing company, or you can hear and see the reporting from a third party company. In reality, is it truly in line with your goals? Do you actually see what's taking place with that advertising? Have you looked? Have you acted as a consumer in your market to see and identify? Are you familiar with tools that expose, not, I shouldn't say expose, but that show transparently what your advertising looks like in the market? And if you're not, well, I guess you can be dependent on other people to get the job done for you. But if you can't see it, touch it, or feel it, I kind of have a problem with that. And I think digital marketing for years has hidden behind this curtain that, well, we draw all this great website traffic this month. Meanwhile, our showroom traffic is dead and I don't have the leads. And I'm looking at my BDC like, why aren't you guys getting more appointments? Yeah, there's a rhyme and reason why you're not. Well, you got to uncover it and you have to know where to look. And I think a lot of people do not know where to look. They just cancel, hire, fire, cancel, hire, fire. What do we know about every month? It's vendor canceling season,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Who's in? Who do we cut? Who do we keep? Well, what's your cost of customer acquisition? What's your lead source ROI? Is it real matching and attribution? Are they just laying claim? Well, I've seen many companies we helped uplift 40 sales this month. Meanwhile, no one's even logged into that dashboard. No one's called those leads, especially these equity mining tools. It almost makes me laugh. I'm like,
We see it all the time, right? One of the greatest areas for manipulation that I see within a dealership will be organic showroom traffic walking in through your doors being attributed to, no, this was actually Car Gurus. No, this was actually Auto Trader. No, this was actually this or that or that. I mean, that happens all of the time. I think it feels often like it's a constant finger pointing match where your digital marketing company says, no, it's the BDC, it's your sales team, they're not following up. And then the sales team or the BDC or the managers are saying, no, it's the leads suck. And it's this constant, it's the Spider-Man meme, right? Everyone's pointing the finger outwards, but no
yeah,
one's pointing the finger at themselves.
that's exactly what it is. And I had a refreshing look at, we had a campaign recently that stopped performing well. I mean, it was doing well for 6, 7, 8 months in a particular market that this dealership wanted to go after. Okay. So being held accountable, right? We got to report on this and understand it. Well, it's down. Okay. Well, let's look into it. They are making the calls. The leads are being hit. It's not converting. It is not a salesperson issue, right? So let's got to figure it out. Well, what does the demand for the product look like in that market? The demand's down. Got it. Understood. So maybe we need to make a pivot throughout the month and refocus on what market we're actually targeting for audiences. Okay, you know what? That's just the market in itself. You got to pay attention to it. You got to move the money. And if you don't, well, you can just sit there and blame everybody else besides yourself. But if you don't, okay, maybe take a look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe we have to readjust what we're doing because it's not working anymore. And there's no one else to blame but ourselves. And it can't really be saying it's blame. It's just paying attention to what you're doing. And if you're in charge of that much money, at any given point, you should really understand that market. You really should. And if you're not able to understand the market or the audiences or the in-market opportunities, well, unfortunately for that dealership, they're just burning dollars.
Yeah.
And the thing was, like you said, you could point fingers, and a lot of people are quick to do that. In reality, you got to take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, okay, maybe it is something that we need to adjust on our own and own it and admit it, but be active and proactive about it. It was just refreshing to see that because you do hear, even from, I guess, our side of the business, right? Being a partner or a vendor to a dealer, you usually do go that route, right? And take the path of least resistance where it's easier to blame somebody instead of blaming yourself. But again, it's not necessarily blaming, it's just paying attention to what you're doing. And if you truly care about that client and you want them to succeed, then you're going to take ownership of it. Otherwise, get in the line with the rest of the people and get canceled next month.
I like it. I like it. So we're talking about dealership websites. We're talking about third parties. Now, what is your take on within a dealership's website, SEO versus SEM, right? Some people, I hear it's, hey, you got to have the best paid search marketing out there. Others say, forget paid search. You really need to do an excellent job of constantly updating and refining your organic, your SEO search. Where do you fall on that argument? If you were to pick a side, what is more valuable? What is more important? What can help a dealership generate ROI? Is it SEO or is it SEM?
Yeah, you got to tie it together. And it goes back to just understanding what your advertising is doing. Is it in line with your goals? And when's the last time you spoke to somebody and said, what is our goal behind organic this month? Are we building out anything organically or landing pages or SEO related content that's going to drive a specific goal? Or you haven't had that meeting or you don't understand. Are we driving click to calls? Are we driving organic market share based on customers looking for used inventory? Is it new inventory? Is it make model specific? You're just really relevant for your name. Well, I'm glad everyone is shopping for your dealership, but in reality, they're not shopping for your name. That's organic is so important to understand because A, it's difficult. B, it's very labor intensive. C, again, if you're not relevant for your organic metrics that you're trying to obviously get in front of the customers in your backyard within your market, yet you have nothing related to it, you're not accomplishing the goal every month. And you can easily get away with, well, website traffic, again, that's not converting into leads. So there is a way to quantify your organic metrics all day. It just has to be very focused behind what the dealership needs. You tie that together, you do that right, guess what? You spend less money on paid search the rest of your channels are going to perform better. It has a very strong foundation. So to answer your question, I think SEO is very important. I think it probably be one of the most important aspects of your digital foundation. And again, asking those questions. So if you're meeting with your team or your advertising team or your marketing director, just ask, what are our goals behind organic this month? What are our goals behind organic for the quarter? What is it that we want to be relevant for? They can't answer it, then
When you ask that question, and this isn't to beat down on the auto industry or to make people feel silly, but typically when you've asked that question, how many out of 10 have some sort of strategy or have an active answer to that question?
less than one. I hate to say that, but maybe one. And then we'll come up with opportunities based on their inventory or their needs for fixed operations. But yeah, included in your organic and your needs, not just the contents, your website performance. When's the last time? Why are these links broken? When's the last time you updated this? Down to this date, I just recently had another meeting with a client. They haven't updated anything since 2018 and 2019. Just 6, 7 years ago. We're organically relevant for 2019 brand new Hondas. That's what we got. I've seen it where there's a Subaru store and their titles are for CDJR. But
Crazy.
again, do you have the tools to look for yourself? Or are you just being dependent on a company with expectations that they're getting it done? I think you want to look at sometimes the dealerships. I blame a lot on these vendors. And I blame a lot of these digital companies too. They're just at that fine line, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, that the dealership's like, oh, doesn't really consider that spend.
Yeah.
Then you have a company like Paramount that comes in where the spend is very high. Your attribution is easy because you're doing the labor. It's hard work. There's long calls, there's notes, you see it, right? But yet they get less of the credit because it's a higher spend. So you're really on the high on that radar for the dealer. And then you got this other guy who's been there for 4 years but hasn't updated anything, and he's at a 2-3 grand spend, and no one pays attention to him.
Yeah.
And they get away with it. So that's just my take versus having the dealerships back on who they're working with and really paying attention to every single dollar that's going out every month. Man, it's unfortunate, but there are a lot of companies, a lot of fluff in this industry that still takes place every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. As much as things change, as much things stay the same. I think it's
Yeah.
a lot of these trends have
Gentleman I was speaking to, he was so proud of his website traffic. Again, he was so proud of his organic. Oh, it's doing well. And Google Analytics, you can see it's top performing. Okay. Is it even relevant to your goals? Is that quality traffic converting into leads? No, it's not. You are in the East Coast, but you're relevant across the country. Do you sell many cars in this state? No. Why are you asking? Well, why are you relevant there? Have you even looked at your location identifiers? No, they haven't. Got it. So we want to target people shopping for shoes while we're selling vehicles.
I think that's a great point you're bringing up, and I think when I think back on why did we start this podcast in the first place, what are we hoping to get out of this? I think more than anything, journey here with Paramount, your journey as well. I mean, I think we've been on an educational crusade looking to help educate the industry as much as possible. That's not to position me or you positioning yourself. I won't obviously speak for you as I'm the expert and I have everything solved. Of course not. There's a million things that I'm still always learning and new perspectives, frameworks that we're trying to learn and understand. But the bottom line is I have a way of looking at things. We have a viewpoint, and that viewpoint has proven to be right more oftentimes than wrong. So I think more than anything, it's educational crusade that we're on to help the industry as much as possible. On that topic, Charles, so if I am a general manager that might be listening to this conversation, if I'm a marketing director that the things that you have stated thus far, they're ringing true, and I'm thinking, hey, I haven't done these things, what are some actionable steps that one could take to get a better understanding of how does my SEO ranking compare to my competitors? Are there free tools out there? Are there audits that LMI offers? What are some actionable insights that someone could take from listening to this conversation and say, all right, here's the next step that I'm going to do to take this one step closer to my end goal?
Yeah, there are tools. In fact, a lot of those tools is how I produce pipeline, right? My team is making cold calls. I'm making cold calls with them. Well, when we're calling you, we might already know that there's something wrong with your store. Unfortunately, You're getting that call for a reason. I'm just calling to say hi, right? So one of my favorite tools is the Google Ad Transparency tool. Some companies probably don't want me to say that out loud. Okay. Guess what? Google created it in 2020. It's free. You can look at any business. You can look at what your competitors are doing. You can look at, guess what? Your own ads. You can see what you're relevant for. What does the ad copy look like? I'm spending $8,000 a month in paid search. So what does it look like? You might not be able to see all the details on it, but it's going to give you an example of what you're focused on. So I go back to the method of madness, right? Well, if I'm spending X amount of dollars, is it focused on the right advertising channels and producing the right advertising that's going to yield the correct lead? So now I have, better quality leads, appointments, strong traffic, and sales. And to this day, I even get nervous saying this out loud that maybe these leads suck. I don't even want to say it out loud, right? But God, we know better than that. I mean, you can never go to a GM or an owner, right, and explain to them, and maybe it's your leads. You can't say that. You're going to grind it out every single day and figure out a path to convert that phone call into profit, right? What's Paramount known on? Pounding the phones.
Yeah.
Right. In reality, there might be an opportunity that dealer's not doing enough, or that dealer's not paying attention enough to figure out by utilizing those tools, like you just said. So mine, Google Ad Transparency. Same thing with Meta, the Meta ad library. What do my social feeds look like? What kind of content are we running? What does the creative look like? And you'd be blown away by every time I pull that tool up. Again, one this morning, he doesn't have any 24s left on the lot. For the last 8 months, though, he's been advertising towards. Not saying you wasted all that money. Maybe some of it was fruitful. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's very smart to be advertising for particular years of models that you don't have no longer in your inventory. In their face, when you make an impact, usually they're not too happy about it. But I'm not trying to come in saying, oh, henny penny, the sky is falling, right? You got to be mindful about your approach. And I like that you asked that question, because part of my meetings, when you talk about audit, I try to do it as educational purposes. And I share every one of those tools that I use. I'll reply via email, and here they are. You can have them.
It's great. And I think anything other than full radical transparency, there's no secret sauce. I mean, there's no secret sauce to what we do. There's no secret sauce to digital marketing. Sure, there's tools, and those tools are helpful and they're useful, but a tool by itself doesn't do anything. It's the combination of those tools, the usage of those tools to then get some sort of outcome. So for us, I know for a long time it's been, well, we've got these killer word tracks, and if someone's going to have our pitch book, then they're going to run away with all the secrets. And the more times we've done this, the more salespeople and BDCs and managers that we train across the country, look, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink it. So when it comes to these secrets, there is no secrets. Be yourself, be authentic, and look to deliver on what it is that you said you're going to do. There is no secret. So I appreciate you offering some insight there, some real actionable insights that someone can take away from this conversation.
Yeah, I do like those tools. You see them live. You see them in their last show, and it's Google Ad Transparency. The Meta ad library is great. I like to look at what competitors are doing. I do. And from my perspective, for my clients, I'll put in a lead at their competitor, and I'll see how they convert that lead. I've had some where they call me and they send me videos and they'll walk around me. I'm like, holy cow, I feel bad, but I actually want to buy from this guy. And I know he's not my client, but man, they're doing a really good job. Go back to my client. Hey, are you guys doing this? We thought about it. When's the last time you thought about it? I don't know. We talked about it last year. Well, maybe it's time you take initiative on it, right? But I think it's being more in line. You got to be more in line with what your business needs are. And like you said, man, take action. Because you could show everybody the secret tool, the secret sauce, or having those conversations. But if you're not engaged and you're not actually doing the job in itself, well, you're still going to be stuck in the same old results that you had the previous month.
What are your thoughts on social media marketing for dealerships? I know, what's his name? Russell Richardson. I see him popping up on LinkedIn everywhere. He's done a hell of a job building out a brand as a salesperson doing social media marketing. I think that is absolutely vital, and more people should be doing so. From a dealership perspective, is there any insight that you can offer on what makes a dealership's social media marketing effective?
Yeah, you got to be in line with the audiences you're doing. So that's one channel. I think a lot of these guys where they get it wrong is they're fragmented channels. So you're retargeting or you're geofencing, and then you also have your social media, and then you got your paid search, and then you got your CTV. And they all have these different pockets of audiences. They all have different messaging. Again, methods of madness. If it's focused on new this month, well, make sure those incentives or whatever your specials are, or whatever particular unit you're focused on, is also in line with those channels. Do you know how often I go in there and it's one different campaign, and another company doing this, and there's nothing in working in tandem. For those cross platforms to work together, that is that's LMI's bread and butter. And not just sell LMI, but I think that's so important to understand that when you have those channels, they should not be fragmented. And also, you can have 3 or 4 different companies all running different approaches, or you're someone internally, but they're not working with the ad agency. Yeah, you got to work in tandem, and they have to be focused. Again, what's your goal behind it? Okay, great. Is that what your content looks like? Is that the type of ad you're running? No. Well, what's the point of spending that money then? Spend less, but be more meaningful with your spend. That's all I say. And some of these ads are not updated. I mean, are the one like Meta Ad Library? Go look in there. You can click on the links. Some are going to 404 error codes, some broken pages. Or you pay a third party lead source and they're just advertising on your social channel, drawing your customer base to their website. And like, oh, wow, that defeated the purpose. But man, that's a good social.
What lands better from your opinion again? Is it a beautifully well crafted creative copy that is a static image, or is it video on
Video.
social media?
Video. I think video is good. Or you can do static images that are like an evergreen post based on reviews, the why buy here. I think that's important too. Is your social targeted on generating leads, or is it a reminder for the consumer? What the audience that you're targeting, are they in market for Honda? Well, guess what? They're going to buy a Honda regardless in your market. Are they going to buy from you? So are you using social media to be a reminder of why buy from your Honda store? Or are you just telling people to go buy a Honda who's already in the market for Honda and losing out on opportunity? Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about it like this for a long time. I talk about this. The customer journey, I always try to put myself in the shoes of the customer. Well, the first barrier right away we have to address is customers do not like going to the car dealership and they do not like car shopping. It's nails on the chalkboard. People don't look forward to it. So, as a dealership, you're already going up against a target that's got its barriers up. And then our goal is, how do I connect the supply chain, the customer journey from the second that customer sees your lead, whether it's on Google, whether it's on a third party site, whether it's on your social media, to ensure that that messaging is fully aligned from the second they saw your lead to now your team making contact with that lead to now that customer standing there in front of you at your dealership. That messaging, all of it needs to be aligned and succinct. And very rarely is that the case. You'll have customer walks into a dealership. Hey, yeah, I got a call. Well, that sales guy doesn't know what the call was from. Or, hey, I got a mailer. Well, how many mailers do we have out this month? Is there 3 separate mailers? Or I saw your ad. What ad are you talking about? We have 15 different ads and they all have 15 different messages targeting 15 different buckets of clientele. So I think my big takeaway is just that. It's how do dealerships effectively focus on merging that customer journey to provide for a seamless journey from lead generation all the way until they're driving home in a brand new car.
I mean, you're solving the problems of the automotive industry right there if you do figure that out, right? Because you just took lead generation to lead conversion from A to Z all the way to the finish line. And you should have active conversations with your team. They should understand what's going on. It's one thing to say we need 120 new units this month. Okay, great. Does everyone know the specials and incentives? Does everyone know what we're focused on? Does everyone know the lease specials? Can they repeat it? When that consumer calls because you did a direct mailer, do they even know what the direct mailer reads? Are they paying attention to it? Right? Man, conversion, that game is still the hardest aspect. It's tough. I love the fact that, where we came from, We have hands-on experience sitting in the pits, calling these leads, right? And then being at the dealerships, training staff to even know how to shake a hand, look someone in the eye. My favorite response, and I don't know if you're still getting calls like this, Charles, this guy's in the showroom and he doesn't even know why he's here.
I just got one yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? He's shopping for groceries. He took a wrong turn. He's looking for directions. Sorry, Kevin.
I just had this happen yesterday. It was a Hyundai dealership, service to sales customer, that the manager approached the customer and said, "Hey, so what is it that you're looking for today?" And the guy responded with, "Oh, I'm not really looking for anything. I love my car. I'm just here." And the conversation ended right there. Luckily, I got a note from my team. I called the manager, reminded him again on just what that process looks like. I said, if nothing else, print out an offer on that guy's vehicle, go back to him while he's still sitting in service, sound very excited, and start with, "Hey, I have some great news. Here's my aggressive offer for your car." And then I just took a look in the CRM this morning. Looks like the guy bought a brand new Hyundai yesterday when he wasn't even shopping and he loved his car.
Yeah, but you did that from I don't know how many miles away, hundreds of miles. I don't even know if that client's in the same state. However, if they're not taking over that conversion element right there, the guy's there for a reason. He might want to be sold, he might not want to be sold, but there's an opportunity. Now you can completely destroy the opportunity by saying, damn it, Dom, Paramount and the showroom traffic they don't even want to buy cars. Yeah,
Well,
man.
let's wrap here with one final segment. And I know artificial intelligence has been a buzzword ringing not just through the automotive industry, but throughout the world, period. What are your takes so far on what you're seeing with AI tools in the automotive industry? Are there any specific stories you have to share or anecdotes about LMI and how you all have been utilizing or integrated AI into your workflow? What's your overall take on AI? Is it worth the hype, or is it still just a fad?
You know what? That myself, I personally use AI to help me build out some content and creative ideas. I also help it myself when I'm structuring and building out sales processes. It is really mind blowing how much it gets to know you, right? I'll utilize ChatGPT to the point where it asked me today, what do we need help with for sales? Is it advertising? Is it digital marketing? What's on the agenda? And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, this thing is really impactful and wants to help me out. Now, utilizing it for different processes, I'm not necessarily fond of automation. I think a lot of what we do has to have a hands-on approach and tying that together with data. So I think two of the biggest words here, AI and data. Everyone has this new approach to data. In reality, it's what you're doing with your data that makes it useful. It's what you're doing with AI that makes it useful. Just having a chat tool on your, website is not going to cut it out. You're still going to have the opportunity. Okay, it created a lead. Guess what? The human element still needs to get involved. So if you're using an AI to assume it's going to make your day easier and you could remove the human element away from it, I don't necessarily agree with that. If it's a little easier to use it for the consumer, right, and to have that conversation or that quick little anecdote with it's having with the consumer that's on your site or drawing a lead, great. But it's not going to replace the human body.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, and I agree with that sentiment. I think anyone that is looking, at least still today, right, and it's changing and evolving so rapidly that who knows, 5 years from now, this take might totally be wrong. But I think still today, it's a tool, it's a lever, and it's a very big lever that might give you 5x or 10x leverage on what it is that you can do without it. But it still does not work without the human element. The human element needs to be there. Maybe AI can help you take it to the 10-yard line and you just got to punch it in. Maybe it takes it to the 1 yard line, but at least still today, you're going to need that human element to ensure that it confirms the appointment or it confirms this process. It can take you pretty close, but I think that human element is still
Yeah.
the differentiator today.
And I don't think AI is shaking anyone's hands in the showroom. Yeah.
Not yet.
Who knows? Maybe one day. But yeah, I think that's a really good conversation around AI. And I think a lot of companies utilize it to help their workflow. which is, it could be beneficial, but in reality, you really need to pay attention yourself. Again, AI is not going to take over your advertising. You still need to make sure that you have a hands-on approach and things are moving in the automotive industry. You have 1 month to accomplish your goal. If you start depending on automation in certain areas, that automation otherwise creates a cookie cutter approach, which I think some AI still does, you have to be on it. And it's not the end all be all. It's not going to save your month, right? In reality, it's your processes you're doing yourself that are going to make the biggest impact.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, on that topic, I know we're launching it here today, so the news will be coming out across our social medias and LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, but we have launched our artificial intelligence agents called Perpetual, which I know you know about, Charles, and just seeing the growth and the performance of these vertical AI agents has been incredible. When I think about a dealership, one of the advantages that our company has, for example, is, well, we just have economies of scale, right? I've got the power of people. So if I have a dealership who is 10 cars away and it's the last day of the month, well, that dealership by themselves, they can't just miraculously make 10,000 more phone calls than they could before, or 1,000 more phone calls. You're limited to the number of people that you have. We're able to often come in for a dealership. Hey, if we're really fighting, if I need to put 5 people on this account, if I need to put 20 people on this account, all for an hour to get one appointment, we're able to do that. Now we're rolling out Perpetual as a tool that will be available for all dealerships. It gives you the power to do so. The same way as we can send out, hey, let me send out an email blast for it's the last day of the month. Here it is. It goes out to 1,000 people. Let me send out a text blast. I can do that. That
Yeah.
function to do that with phone calls has not been available yet until now. And we've got this now today where with one click of a button, I can have 500, 1,000, 2,000 phone calls going out that all deliver the right message to the right people at the right time. So I know it's early. The results thus far have been incredible, and I'm super stoked to see where it goes from here.
It's a great tool to harness. And I like that you have a focus on where it's used, how it's used, what time of the month it can be used, right? So you're not dependent on it, but you're also controlling it. I think that's extremely impressive. And then you hit a lot of notes too, depending on the dealer. When they're outsourcing a BDC or they're trying to do it internally, bandwidth, man. Like, with the 90 reps just cranking across the country, it's tough. And if you can utilize a particular tool like that, well, it has a very specific role in mind, which means it has a very specific goal in mind. I love that. And I want to even hear more about that myself. And I did hear a couple of those calls, and I was extremely impressed that, you have an AI conversation on the phone, not just text,
Yeah.
talking to you. That blows my mind. And I think a lot of that too is it's going to help with conversion efforts, right?
Yeah. And I think still today it's something that is so new that it might take some time for customers to get to a point where I feel comfortable speaking to an AI. Right. I mean, it's come a long way. We're used to calling American Airlines or United and speaking to some sort of prompt engine that just says, say this, say that, say that. It's prompted with generative AI where the conversation can go just about in any place, anywhere. Talk to a robot about how your day's going. It brings on this new sort of form factor that I think will take some time for consumers out there to get used to. But it's here, it's going to stay here, and it's only going to grow from here. So I think it's going to be very exciting to see how this product here grows for us as the months go on.
I didn't even think of that. You're right. You could just be accustomed to talking to AI, right?
At some point, it might be the preferred option, right? Get that human off the phone. I want to talk to the AI that never has a bad day. It always sounds excited.
What about language barriers? Overcoming language barriers,
A
especially
perpetual.
during certain markets, certain campaigns. We've been there where there's lists that no one speaks English that we're trying to conversation. We have to build out a Spanish team or Russian or Polish or like yourself, Lithuanian. Yeah, that's
True.
really interesting.
Yeah.
It has so many different aspects you can use that for. That's pretty cool. I mean, man, you do hear a lot about AI, and you do hear a lot about data. And in reality, it's how you're using it. Not because someone has this gift and it's going to solve world's problems. No, it has to be impactful with its use.
I heard this analogy. I forgot where I heard it. Must have been on a podcast I was listening to. Forgot who said it. People have been saying now for years, data is the new oil, right? Well, data isn't necessarily just oil by itself, right? Data by itself, well, it's like crude oil. It's what we pull out of the ground. That can't yet be utilized. It needs to go through a refinement process that
Yes.
then can go into your car that'll power your car. So it's the same thing with data, right? Data by itself, it's great. You want to have it, but without the right tools to be able to take action on that data, well,
Yeah.
it's not worth all that much.
Oh man, I have that conversation all the time. Oh, we just hired this new data company, or we have this new CDP, or this great. What are you doing with it? Right? How are you generating revenue from it? Is it at the point where you can run a particular campaign with it? We've had a lot of success with we build out our own audiences. On the LMI, we don't have to wait for someone to come to the website, be relevant on paid search or SEO. At that point, that's traditional methods. It really is. What are you doing with those other advertising channels, right? Outside of paid search and SEO that incorporate data? And how are you targeting that audience? You have it. Great. Now, what are you doing with it? Man, we've had this conversation a long time. Everyone's a guru now, and everyone has the greatest product or tool or chatbot. I hear it to this day every single day. When it comes down to it, you're taking the right methodologies. And again, it always comes down to, okay, lead generation, lead conversion. And now, yeah, you can implement certain tools to get the job done. But don't forget about the human process ever. Yeah,
Charles, this has been great. This has been an awesome chat with you. I appreciate you taking some time here to join the Paramount podcast today. I know you'll be a frequent guest and we'll have many more of these. But Charles Alessi, Regional Vice President with LMI. If you have any questions at all, digital marketing related, websites, SEO, SEM, traditional versus paid search versus social media, Charles is your guy. So Charles, it was a great pleasure. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Dom. Great seeing you. Great talking to you. And again, thank you for bringing me into the industry. This is all you.
My pleasure. Now let's go make some impact and create and make this place better than what it was when we came in.
I love that. And next time, let's talk shop about sales. Right?
Done.
I would love to have that conversation. It's one of the best things about Paramount I've ever experienced. It was life changing. Being with Dave Deeney and you and being part of Paramount, I don't think people can understand the impact that company makes on a person, let alone impacting clients. I mean, going through Paramount was really eye opening and change. So I think maybe next time I would love to have that conversation about really digging into sales and having that value that Paramount's brought and how I incorporated it myself every single day.
Yeah, that would be an excellent story. We'll get that on the books.
Cool. All right, Tom.
All right, Charles. Thank you.
See ya.